was born out of the need to express. Fast forward into time, art now functions within the context of markets, like capitalism, and now art is part of the tool, and now art has become a commodity. I'm talking about the relationship between art and the artist, and we're here to ask a very important question. Can we separate between the art and the artist? Because as of late, there have been many instances in society that artists have scandals around them. They do something that is regarded as explicitly oppressive, and the masses feel like, if that man or woman can do something like that, then I cannot consume or purchase their art. It's your brother VJ from The Ancient Mother. It's another episode of The Headspace. I'm sitting here with my bro, Krimba Krumba. The man is a spoken word artist. The man is a writer. The man is a textile artist. He designs one of the most prolific brands in the GQ, a brand by the name of Black Power. Am I saying it right, bro?
Amandla
Mnyama. And we're gonna contextualize Amandla, you know, in other spaces right now. So really love it to have my brother with me. Let's have this very fruitful conversation. And I think Krimba is here on the couch with me because this is a hip-hop conversation, because this is a hip-hop podcast. However, it's also a conversation that goes beyond hip-hop.
Yes,
because we produce art in different contexts. So we live in times, Krimba, that I'm sure you've noticed, the pressure for artists to have a social image that is positive and that is progressive because of social media kind of becomes something a lot of artists want to take into consideration in the days where people can dig up an old tweet, Krimba Kdala or a city, I do not wear a certain kind of clothing brand, and then maybe now you might be in partnership with that clothing and people want to dig up that tweet and say, what about here? You know, so we find that accountability, responsibility has become very political today. And I want to know what you think about that. Do you think, is it fair for artists' behavior to be held against them on social media? And do you think that really impacts the value of their art and what they do?
Yeah, greetings. Yeah, the question is it's a heavy one. I think, I wanna keep it simple. I wanna keep it simple. Is that when you do good, that means your things get to be approachable, or you get to be comfortable, and people can hang around you. Yeah. So I think when you are an artist, you carry something, you carry art, a beautiful thing, a good thing. Now the container matters. Now if the container is not as beautiful or as attractive as the content, then there's going to be an issue there. There's going to be a problem. I think you put it well, is that art nowadays is a commodity. You see, we're selling it now. Now, you're packaging. Like me, I can't package myself in this manner and yet behave in another manner. Now, it goes to what you were saying now. Is it fair or not? I think it is fair, because it's not like we are asking the worst out of you. We're asking for a basic thing, a natural thing, a human thing that you can easily do. You see, accountability now, it goes to the part of like, do people do wrong? Do people make mistakes? Of course people make mistakes, but now, are we talking about mistakes? Are we talking about behaviors or attitudes? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now people are going to run away and say that I'm an artist. Yeah, of course you are an artist, but are you exempted now from certain things? You see? So now, me, it's always a matter of, it needs to be real before it is fair. You see, in the sense that I can't ask of you what I myself cannot do or provide. You get what I'm saying? I'm expecting you to respect me because I can easily respect you. So it won't make sense for me not to get respect from you, because I'm on that scenario that society at large wants us as artists to behave in a certain manner because that's what it is. You see, we are not expected to behave in a, we are told not left, right. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. See, here's something very interesting. You talk about it being very simple. If an artist is good to others, others will be good to the artist and their art.
Yes, sir.
Now, I want to perhaps challenge that a bit and say we come from diverse backgrounds. Hip hop in particular has come a long way.
Sure.
It came from communities that, because of the fact that these were communities created under the context of oppression, you find a lot of ills there. Lack tends to create a certain kind of denigrated environment because people are desperate, people have psychological issues, people are kind of expressing themselves from a place of trauma because they come from an environment that has been designed for them primarily to suffer. And in an environment like that, you get young men and women who grow up in homes where they saw physical abuse, where they saw verbal abuse, and a lot of that was in the DNA of hip-hop. It took us a long time to figure out things like, was it okay to call women bitches and hoes? It took us a long time to even ask ourselves, what is the role of women in hip-hop? Because there was a sense of like hyper-masculine energy. When rap began, it was started by both men and women, but because there were more men than women, the men tended to have the automatic ruling power to kind of determine hip-hop's voice. And as a result, what happened is that women tended to fade into the kind of the background, unrecognized and unacknowledged. Why am I talking about this? Now, the example is, say a rapper comes from an environment where it's okay to call a woman a hoe. And his music is a reflection of who he is. And he comes onto social media and he says, more money, fuck them hoes. And women come back and say, you were raised by a woman, you grew up around women, so can you please qualify as a statement sako city more money, fuck them hoes? And abe ku position where, because he maybe can't quantify or qualify his statement, we don't support your music because you reflect a certain kind of image we wouldn't want our young people to kind of emulate or to grow around. So my point is that, is it fair to kind of force people's hand by taking food away from them? Because as we begin, art is commodity, and somebody might not yet understand the repercussions of a certain aspect of themselves, and nobody's perfect. There are things that I'm constantly learning about gender, race and class, and all of us are in this dynamic where ukula kwetu is happening in front of a new dynamic, that social media space. So if it is easy as saying Krimba says something we don't like about women, therefore boycott his t-shirts, boycott his poetry. Krimba Krumba is hosting a gig, ladies don't buy tickets. Do you think cutting the sustainable link to people's livelihood ne art yabo is a progressive way of maybe trying to teach them lessons? Because that's always the agenda. Cancel culture comes as a culture that says people need to learn, and if needs be, they need to learn the hard way. Now the question is, does this hard way have to come at the expense yokutya kondu ne livelihood yake ne art yake? What do you think about that, Krim?
Yes, you see, it's a fair question. I like your questions because you bring the scenario. You're saying we come from a dark place, trauma, all types of abuse and everything. You see, like, gee, the fact that I come from the dark place does not mean that I myself I am dark. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, here in my neighborhood, we have names for things, for women or for people in general. We call them names for different reasons. Now, why would you call it para a para? We have different reasons why. Some people will see a nigga that ain't washed in days, para.
Sure.
And me, I'm thinking a para is someone who smokes stick.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Now, if you are a rapper, an artist, you see, you want to express yourself. You come from an environment where women are called hoes. Those women who are called hoes there, how do they respond to that? You see, how? Because now you'll find out those women probably don't even like that, but they were not in a position to say they don't like that.
Sure.
Hence, it made it cool. But now you step out of that environment. Now you go into spaces where if you say ho, then people will be like, okay now. Okay now. What I'm trying to say when I'm IG is that we're not saying here people are not going to learn new things on a regular. Especially when you're an artist, especially when you get exposed eventually. Yeah, but what I'm saying, or what we're saying is that when you are an artist, yeah, your task, yeah, is to change society. You see, I'll give you an example that.
Okay, I'll note that one. When you are an artist, your task is to change society.
Yeah.
Put a footnote there.
You see, as an artist, there's an entertainer. That's an artist, someone who's here to make sure that the society is entertained. There's the one who's a restorer, who's making sure whatever that was broken or lost is restored. You see, that's the type of artist. There's a reflector, a reflective artist, the one that reflects society to society. You are like this. For example, you were talking about hoes, like Biggie Smalls or anyone else is expressing this society how it is. You see, now that one is a reflective one. In there, in that thing of like you can't save money for bail. You see, when you are in the drug game, like he's trying to show you that it's stuck there. Yeah?
The inner working.
So we have the artist that is also the custodian, you see, the one that keeps everything about us as a people. You see, now you once now as an artist, you wanna be all those four. You wanna be in trouble. You get what I'm saying? Because now, if you are an entertainer, when you are an entertainer and you entertain, trust you me, you won't have problems there. Or when you are a custodian of history and you focus on that, you do your art as a custodian, like keeping history. People will love that, will love you for that. You get what I'm saying? When you reflect towards the society of how it is, you see, people love that, you see, because the problem is us wanting to be this and then practice that. Because
contradiction.
Because at the end of the day, you must remember art is an influential thing. You see, that's why when you are an artist, you end up loving not just your music. You love your lifestyle. You love how you do. Kids will dress up like Tupac and they can't even rap. But they probably love the rap and then they also love the lifestyle. Others got tattoos. We can check now, even here up in South Africa, we've got a lot of Lil Waynes. You see, that shows you the power of influence. Everyone wants to have tattoos all over their face. Is that a wrong thing or a right thing? It is not wrong, it is not right, you see. However, if you do it, it's fine. You can justify it. But now you're going to step out of that comfort zone.
Right.
I think it's fine.
Let me make a practical example. One of the most interesting rappers in the context of Kwaito was a brother called Briggs.
Sure.
Briggs' case was well documented and it was famous. Briggs was accused of rape, charged of rape, and arrested of sexual misconduct.
Sure.
Briggs recently just came out of prison.
Sure.
Briggs' close friends, including his famous producer DJ Cleo, celebrated his coming home.
Sure.
That Liabui soldier.
Yeah.
These were the words.
Yeah.
People were offended for that DJ Cleo gave Briggs a dignified homecoming, even going as far as calling him a soldier.
Yeah.
And they say, man, this man is a rapist. How can you call him a soldier? And now I want to ask the question. Briggs did his time. Briggs went into the prison. He did his time as per Kutua Mosi. If you do the crime, do the time. He did the time. He's out finally. His friend is celebrating his return. People are still angry for a friend talking about another friend highly and saying the soldier is back. Now, Briggs Makabe simply put in the prism of what he did, and it feels like to now acknowledge the fact that he's a soldier to some. He might be a father to one person, he might be a brother to one. It is a problem in the spectrum of cancel culture. See, this is my issue. It feels like if we judge a person for one thing that they've done, we forget that they are not only that thing. there are a whole lot of other positive things. And if we are going to say Bambi mali yakhe, we won't buy Prince's album. Maybe he's planning a comeback album. And maybe kumobilize kuthiwa we're not gonna buy an album for somebody who was charged for rape. I feel like a lot of the culture is going in a direction now where artists are being almost punished for certain aspects of their lives, and whether the aspect of their life is wrong and right is a moral issue. The conversation I really want to have here is an artistic conversation to say, does Brix's music influence people to be rapists? And if it doesn't, is it fair for his music to be linked with the act that he allegedly committed? Going into the biggest cases, yes, you R. Kelly. R. Kelly, everything was taken from him, literally. And he might have committed an atrocious act, many atrocious acts as we now see, for having like a serial pathology of being a pedophile, you know? And yet, some people still play happy people at their weddings. Some people still dance to Step in the Name of Love. Some people still cry to I Believe I Can Fly. Is it now fair to cut the impact that R. Kelly's art has had on a positive level because of certain things that he did? Does his art transcend him as an individual? Or can we say, no, R. Kelly songs can't be played from radio? As it happens, certain radio stations, streaming sites took R. Kelly's music down purely because of what happened and what he did. So is it I'm here to ask you, as Krimba Krumba, do you think that is fair as an artist?
Again, yeah, I like how you came about, yeah, because the answers are in your question.
Okay.
Yeah, it is fair. You see, when we empower you with great power, we expect you to do good things, great things. Now, when you utilize your powers in a wrong manner, we must disempower you. We'll take away those things that have given you power.
But that doesn't take away.
Wait. You see,
yes,
I'll give you an example why I'm saying why we should take power. What I'm trying to come across with here, Yabo, is that look, G, Briggs committed a crime. Now, question is, he's back into society. You see, can we look past that? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We should. We will. But we cannot say that we cannot also not look past that. You must remember, our suffering when it comes to the case, we won't be the same. For example, I as Krimba Krumba, I wouldn't have a problem with his music, because you must remember we loved his music. Yeah? But now what we're trying to say is that as a society or as a people, even I myself, I also get punished for certain things. Is that if this power that we have given you, if this power that we have set upon you is what's making you foul, then let us remove it. Yeah, but now I'll give you an example. You see, when you are a person of power and you are foul, and the people are okay with it, that simply means the people themselves are foul. You must remember what women say. These are just special famous cases, but these incidences are happening in multitudes. They are not even reported.
Right.
We have so many bricks, and these bricks are out here. They always, there's not even institutions for victims. Still fighting for victim spaces. Now I'm not defending women's rights. I'm not an expert on GBV. I'm just talking about when it comes to art and separating it from the artist. Is that I take this art, I utilize it to make me who I am, to be who I am, get to be in these positions.
Right.
For example, Elijah Muhammad, you know, with the NOI.
Yeah.
When he was in that power, he impregnated all those girls. For what good reason? You see, what happens when it comes to that? Bam! The movement went down. You see, because now we can't trust this man around these kids. And also, what does it mean about the men he presides over? You see, what does it mean about those men? You see? So when we're saying now, separating Krimba Krumba, for example, I can have a poem that promotes drug use, and I don't even use drugs. You can say it's creativity, but again, for me, I always question that, because I know when it comes to authenticity, people who have been through an experience, when they write about it, whether in song or in poem or in anything, they are always on par. Yeah, but even you can relate. You
Right.
see. But when someone is writing someone else's story, you can feel by there's some elements missing. So what I'm trying to say when I say it is fair, it is that if when you don't want to lose your bread, you better not do things that are going to make you lose your bread.
But this is where the conversation becomes interesting. Earlier on, I mentioned how we grew up in different variated backgrounds, and what that does is all of us have something to learn.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
a lot of and in a lot of instances, these lessons come aggressively. Some people
Yeah.
might have a lot to learn about consent and how to interact with the women, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, my thing is that if the audience determines the punishment,
Sure.
when does the audience determine a person's rehabilitation? If we can take away R. Kelly's bread for what he did, when do we know it's okay to give it back to him? And do we realize that by taking it away,
You see?
we are also taking away food from children's mouths? Children who did not directly commit any crimes, but because they are children of a man who did. The instant now resonates beyond the man, and it affects a whole family.
Yeah. You see, when now what you are doing, you are focusing on the perpetrator.
Slash artist.
These questions should be about the victim. You see, when you are an artist, you have to. You remember I said your task is to change society. You see, I doubt you wanna change the society for the bad. You see, and I know you can say that. You see, before this act, it's not about saying that music is no longer worth consuming. You know, continuing consuming that music will allow this person to be powerful, to carry on with these things. You know what happens with these people, and I'm sad about the black people there, because for me they are not prime examples, because they always get to go to prisons. For me, it's the other races, the wealthy ones, the ones who can afford the law. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Sure.
That paper. Even their movies, even their music is still getting played. I think they're still getting money. You get what I'm trying to say? And these ones who succeed on these cases, your breaks, they even do the crime and come back. Of course, when he comes back, you expect society to find him a place. You see, we work with offenders, even people who have taken lives. They are part of our society, but we cannot now act like you did not commit that crime. It's like when someone has been a rapist, has raped, I can't just leave them with my kids. You see, I'm not saying they're going to rape my kid, but I can't just leave them with my kid. Is that now not fair?
My thing, remember, is that artists don't operate in a vacuum.
Yes.
They have brothers, sisters, families, children.
Yeah.
And my problem and my issue with taking away food from an artist's mouth because of whatever they did is that it has a ripple effect on their families. I feel artists deserve to be separated from their art because the art in itself transcends the artist. I'm going to give you an example. I made an example earlier on about R. Kelly, but let's keep it to hip-hop.
Sure.
Let's say for a very particular reason, a parent was to say to their child, I don't want you listening to this rapper Ricky Rick's music because I don't promote suicide.
For sure.
Understand?
Okay.
And Ricky Rick's catalog is broad. He has songs like Stay Shining, which ironically is a song about being positive. He has songs that are about staying strong, being resilient. His songs are dynamic. And if we now are to look at the conclusive element of how his life ended, it would be what is called a reductionist argument. We would be reducing Ricky Rick's diversity to one instance. And I think art is like that. Art in its very nature cannot be reduced to a single act. Once an artist puts out music, I think that music has a totally different life. It takes on its life in people's minds when they put their music in their earphones. It takes on a life in people's memories because every song is most likely attached to a memory. maybe a memory of how you met your partner, a memory of how you lost your mother. And this is why art is so powerful. It tends to go beyond the person. And when you hear a certain song, you don't think Ricky Rick anymore. You think, man, when I was listening to Stay Shining, that's when I met my wife. So now, this is my argument. I'm here to say, art transcends the artist. I, as an artist, know that every time I might paint a painting or write an essay, that essay is an expression of who I am. But the moment it comes into contact with a viewer, with a listener, it becomes more than me.
Of course, you see.
What's your view on that?
Your era is saying that, like, if I, as a parent, I don't approve, let's say, of suicide, and then I say my kid shouldn't listen, I can. There's a lot of reasons people can tell you. Like, if a song or an album has a lot of swear words about, like, like too much, you can decide, but I don't listen to this kind of music. But there's all those reasons. But here, when we're talking about separating the artist from the art, we're talking about, like, case, we wouldn't cancel Ricky for that just because he committed suicide. We wouldn't stop listening to his music. You get what I'm trying to say? But we're talking about dark cases. We talk about instances where we say, you know what, these things, this thing that you have done, or these things that you are doing, according to our society, according to our moral standing, according to our collective as a people,
right, are wrong.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Now, because our I'll give you a clear example of women and what. Because our system, our justice system, is not doing enough. These are the measures us we are willing to take. We'll go to your company and ask you, company VJ, in your policies, you're saying that you do not condone this and that. Yeah. And remember, when you're an artist, it's your work. Picture it as someone who has a job, who works in an office. When you do wrong, when they fire you, who gets affected? Your children and your children's children, your grandmother and what. So I don't understand now how is it special when you are an artist, because you know from the first place that is your work. For example, I'm selling these t-shirts and I'm selling everything else for a living. Now I need to do things that are going to make people want to buy this t-shirt. The more I do those things, the better.
You said earlier on, art is about changing society.
Yes,
right?
sir.
I challenge that. I say art is about self-expression. I say before an artist even has the intention to do anything for society,
sure,
how we come in contact with art is it soothes a certain part of our souls.
Can I jump in before you go further? Because you see, it's a dangerous thing, that thing of saying that art is for expression.
Tell me why.
It is very dangerous. You get what I'm trying to say?
Let's why.
Because now you're creating room for anything and everything.
That's the point.
You see, that's dangerous. That's
how?
What I'm trying to say.
Talk to me.
Especially when we have a society that is in need of some type of change or some type of influence. Because when we allow, you remember we saying we're coming from a dark place.
Right.
Yeah, now, if I'm coming from a traumatic experience, you see, and I have to express myself. You must remember what's inside. It's dark. It's all those things. It's there. So if I'm just gonna express myself just enjoy freely, then what's gonna happen?
What's going to happen is beautiful art, because from your pain we're going to learn a lot about your conditions. We're going to learn a lot about what matters to you, what doesn't matter to you. I feel like hip-hop in particular is characterized by a lot of that. It's grimy, there's a lot of references to violence, there's a lot of references to guns, drugs, money and the pursuit of wealth. Some people have tried to reduce hip-hop to nothing but a pursuit of pleasure. Sifuna nje ukunywa, zilale namathole namantombazana, zithini. They can't see that behind that is a certain kind of mentality. And these artists are just expressing themselves. They might not want to change society. They just want to make the pain go away by going into studio. And just that 1 hour in studio makes them feel like they've eased their pain. Young Thug was famously asked what were his thoughts on Black Lives Matter, and he said he didn't have any. because his objective is to just make music. A lot of people from the black community attacked him for that. I think he had a point. His own life does not have to be directly linked to some kind of political activism. By being who he is, he is already being political. He doesn't have to go into the studio and say, I want to change the world. Because for him, it's really just about trying to cope with life. I don't think artists should have a greater agenda other than using their art as a way to cope to life.
I think we are on the same page, but the problem with what you're saying, is like you don't want to create room for accountability. You get what I'm saying? When you're saying just let us be expressionists, it's like you are trying to say that let us just do as we please, that's fine. But doing as you please, you must remember you are not in a vacuum. You said it yourself.
Of course,
we are artists. We are amongst people. This product you're gonna bring out must be consumed. You can't tell me you're not thinking about the people who are gonna consume it, or you're just gonna be like, yeah, it is what it is, and then
that's the beautiful thing about art, Krimba. For me, I feel like artists learn through the dialogue that they have with their audiences. So I feel like if audiences take away the power for an artist, hold up. Hold up. Let me qualify it.
Before you qualify it, because you see, don't qualify it yet, yeah, bro.
Okay, let me give you a chance.
Picture it this way, yeah, bro. I'm trying to keep it simple. Look, the aim from society is that do good, do well.
There's different versions of this.
Listen, it doesn't matter now. Even if you decide to do martial art, do good. If you decide to do music, like when are you acting like that? We are controlling how people should express themselves.
You are.
No, we're not.
Can I qualify?
What?
You act like the good that you are referencing. Let me just please give me a chance. This good that you speak of, Krumba, is hard to ascertain in a world where there's different moral and ethical standards. For instance, some people might come from cultures where good is a woman who covers her body. Some people might come from cultures where good is a woman who expresses her body and is not ashamed to own her sexuality. Some people might come from cultures where if a woman talks about sex, it's seen as something that isn't good. Some people might come from cultures where freedom of expression. So for instance, when Ari Lennox was confronted by MacGyver and he asked her who she was fucking, Ari was offended. And people called Ari out because they said, how can you have a song where you talk about fucking somebody and you don't want to be asked who you fucking? I'm on Ari's side. Here's why I'm on Ari's side. When Ari was in the studio talking about her sexual experiences, she wasn't doing that for me. She wasn't doing it for you. She was doing it for herself. So when the art comes into dialogue, this is what I mean when I say I think art is about self-expression, not about societal change. I think what happens is when you put your self-expression out there in the world, you create a conversation. And what that conversation will do is that it will create the engagement. And if people are going to be quick to jump the gun and say, because of what you said or what you did, they can mobilize and take away fruit from your plate, it makes it difficult for artists to express themselves and learn along the way what right and wrong is for themselves, because even our ideas of wrong and right keep evolving. We learn new things on a daily basis. So my argument is that if Krimba, let me ask a question now. Let me pose this thing as a question. If we can take away food from artists' mouth because they were wrong, when do we know that they have rehabilitated? When is it okay again? Because I think this is the part that cancel culture doesn't outline. When will it be okay to listen to R. Kelly's music again?
And again, you see, I'm not an advocate for cancel culture in the sense that we are not canceling people here. You see, you must understand what we are talking about. You see, when what you want, is a free word for the artist. Express yourself. Just let it be out there so that you can learn and consume. But you don't want the same for the audience. Because you must remember, if we can expect anything from you, then you should expect anything from them. Isn't that fair? Or am I losing the plot?
We're definitely on the same page. We're definitely on the same page.
And look at it this way now. There's a saying that I'm a king in my house. I do my things as my way. Or I eat first, then my family. But now I go to your house. I get there, I find out when it's not the same way. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, I have two things to do, man. Either I go back to my house or I do the things your way. You get what I'm trying to say? So in your space, in my space, for example, in my world, you see, a lot of things are cool and fine. But the moment I step outside, you see, for example, how I dress myself. To me, I'm not a hobo, but to someone else, maybe I'm a hobo. You get what I'm trying to say? Or I'm poor. You get what I'm saying? So expressing yourself like is also a dangerous thing. That's why I say, because it can be created, it can be costumed, you see, into anything and everything. Which is, if now there is no control, you see, because you are not working in a vacuum. There are spaces, for example, why can't we walk around naked? You see, who came up with that rule? You see, why? You see, you see, all those things. For example, I'll give you an example. You see, back then, every woman didn't cover. You see,
right?
You know why it was not a problem? Because if you walk around, you see that no one is covered. But these days, the issue is this: some people are covered, or majority. And then you're going to have a few who are not covered. That's why now the one who's not covered will always grab attention. It's not like there's something special. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, if we are a society that is going to be global, then you can't be like, I'm going to go out there and expect. In my community, people are fine with me singing about drugs and guns. But then the moment I step out of that space, then I should expect something. For example, you're saying R. Kelly's music is still getting played.
Yeah.
Bricks right now is getting a welcome back. Probably an album is coming. You see, and people are going to
I hope so.
No, for sure. People are going to support it. You see, we are not anti the man. We are anti the act. And you know what we're trying with the punishments, Chairman, and I always say, even for myself, you shouldn't not do crime because you are scared of people shouldn't just do crime. But the thing is the way it is, it's like people have to be scared of severe punishments.
You haven't answered my question, Krimba. I asked, when do we know that the punishment is enough? Because I'll give you an instance. Java was also caught up in a rape case.
Sure.
Lady Zama, famous house vocalist, says Java raped her. It went to court.
Sure.
Conclusively. Java won the case.
Sure.
But after he had lost brands, after awards had been taken away, after the tarnishing of his image, just from the allegation alone.
But who
just hold up. People judged him already for the crime. And when it was found that he did not commit the crime,
sure,
the after effects of his music still did not change. Sure. Can you see how it's so dangerous? Because you said expressing yourself is dangerous. I don't think expressing ourselves is dangerous. I think judging each other is dangerous. I think when we express when we express ourselves freely, right? And we allow ourselves to not take the argument to a place where we threaten a person's livelihood, and we allow the systems put in place to truly to prove this person accountable. So if the system is the court, let the court decide. Public opinion shouldn't have so much mobilizing power that it can take away an artist's livelihood. Hence I'm saying when an artist does anything, it is separate from their art, because that way, whether Java is innocent or guilty, their art, Java's songs that people connect with on a level where when the song plays, they no longer think about Java.
Let me tell you something.
It's not about Java now.
The bricks incident.
It's about art.
Listen, yeah. When what you're missing is this, yeah. You see, if I was raped, now, and Bricks is a rapist, now probably whenever I hear his song,
you get triggered.
You get what I'm trying to say? So that's why I'm saying, for some people, they can carry on with life. When it comes to this thing as Java, you're saying word of mouth shouldn't have power. It's true. You can't hear say and then decide on me. That means you are the one that is weak. The institutions, the brands, they were not supposed to drop Java just because they were supposed to wait for the trial to go through. You see? Now listen, yeah. Listen. I know you're gonna say, but people were mobilized behind them and what. What I'm trying to say to you is that I am a company, I am an institution that works with VJ. Someone comes here and says VJ has broken one of your laws. He has assaulted a woman. Now, what does my company do in such a situation? No, we investigate. How do we investigate? No, we do this like this and like that, you see. Now, it goes back to what I was saying too about power. Is that people are in these positions. Now, such things are not happening. That's why I don't know people start mobilizing, because you find out these things are not happening. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, when as an institution or as a person, you can't be turned against your Java just because someone else said so. And for you, when you hear Java songs are motivated, but for someone else, even if it's a motivational song, a song that is about love and everything, but to them it's a reminder. For example, right now, Bricks is going to drop an album. It's going to be everywhere. What do you think is going to happen to rape victims? What do you think is going to happen to the victims of that family?
I'm here to say,
because you were asking me, when does rehabilitation go on? When do we forgive? You can't ask me that. Mine has a limit, probably, as Krimba Krumba.
Exactly.
But now we talk about the victim. We talk about the people. The people who are working for you must remember, German, you see, there are people who are working with these cases on a day. Right. What does it mean for them, the work they are doing? If you can commit a crime and come back
I'll answer you later.
You do crimes and come back and live. You see, right now, if people who do crimes come back and live lives finally, then that means you can't tell people not to commit crime.
I said it before, Krumba, I'll say it again.
What?
Briggs is a rapist, but he's also a lot of other things. And he might have I gave you time to talk.
What other things?
A brother, a father, a friend.
Stop being that.
No, he didn't stop being that. And it's naive to think that. It's naive. It's naive to think that just because people commit certain atrocious acts that they stop being positive in some people's lives. No, I'm answering your question. I'm being as direct as I possibly can to say that if I have people that I have victimized, you know, and they're out there in the world, I am more than what I did to those people. I have children who I also feed, who look at me as a positive influence. And wait, I gave you time. Please give me time. And for my life to be circumscribed to the so-called victims or the victims, let's not even put so-called. Let's say it's proven.
Yeah.
Let's say I go to court and it's proven that I assaulted a woman. I'm still a father, and my children might not know me like that. Sure. And so to now define my whole life according to a certain act, when I am also so many other things. I'm a breadwinner. I'm somebody who motivates people on a certain level. I feel now that it makes it hard for you to determine the stakes. No person, no matter what they did, should be limited to 1 act, 2 acts, 3 acts, no matter how many times they did it. I feel society should allow people the room to be themselves and allow the systems put in place to hold them accountable. If I'm a musician, and if I'm a musician and I'm a rapist and I'm a child molester, my music might relate to people in a way they might not even know what I did.
Stop being a musician the moment you child molest. Listen here, bro. You were a musician to us. All those things before that. The moment we know that you are a rapist, people must know that. You know it as an offenders list.
What changes?
What changes is that now people know how to behave around you.
Does that change the music, the great music I did?
No, it's not about the great music that you did.
But I think it is, Krumba.
Because you see, your problem is this way, Nani. You are acting as if like people are saying that the music is no longer great.
That's what.
Or the music is no longer consumable.
Essentially,
No,
that's
we're not
what
saying
people
that.
are saying.
There's no way that music is no longer consumable. Also, there's no way people can force us into stop listening to a certain music. It's impossible. But what we can control.
They did it with R. Kelly.
They did what?
They stopped playing his music on streaming sites. They took him off radio. They did practical things.
Why?
To literally limit the capacity of the money he could make from the music.
Why?
This is where my problem is.
Why?
Obviously because of what he did.
What is it that he did?
He molested young women.
Exactly. You
But
see,
he's also creating great motivational songs.
Us having him played, us going to his shows, having all those guaps is what created that monster in him. Can you believe that?
No,
You can't.
I can't.
What can you believe?
What?
Because-
Listen.
No,
listen,
I'm not
listen.
saying that's a fact, but I'm just asking
Listen.
you, do you consider that scenario
Listen.
that having the power, because when what you are against, when you think about children, you are thinking about other people who benefit from this thing.
Yeah.
Of course. But what about the victims? Why? You see these questions, have you asked them for the victims?
Yes, I
Like,
answered
what
your
about
question.
them?
I asked that when here's
What about them? Because
here's
you see, you're so concerned about the okay. You see, when the victim, listen here, you know what happens when a victim gets victimized? That person can no longer function in his full optimal what. That person can no longer now attend certain spaces because uzobeneza anxiety. That means that person productivity will be affected in so much level, in so many ways. And that move, like you see, that's what I'm trying to say.
You ever heard?
Listen, I'm trying to say is that now, if for R. Kelly it's that bad, then it means for the victim it is worse.
Let me answer you, Krum. An eye for an eye, I think, makes the whole world blind.
Yeah.
Some people are victimized, some people emerge victorious.
Sure.
And I think it is unfortunate that human beings treat each other in ways where they oppress their consent and their freedom. But I also think that human beings are complex. I think no person is singularly bad or singularly righteous.
Okay.
And I think when it comes to judgment, whether be it the judgment of public opinion, the judgment of the court, I think the one thing we should always consider is that to judge a person on anything should not affect the fact that they still have the rest of their lives and a livelihood in any capacity. If somebody is a hip-hop artist,
Yeah.
what they do with that art is an expression of their own life.
Sure.
And when the moment they put it out there and give it to the masses, it grows beyond that. People relate to the lyrics in some ways where the artist would have never thought about it in that way themselves. So I'm here to say, just let me finish let me conclude. Yeah. So I'm here to say that when it ultimately comes to judgment, judge the individual. The art is in a place now where it is beyond them. The art is not even about them anymore, because now through their art they are able to not only sustain themselves but sustain the people around them. And even further than that, a person can be a rapist, a child molester, a whatever horrible thing in your eyes, but they still have the right to have food on the table. Just like the victim who might be traumatized by the instance. You're right, victims have a lingering effect that travels with them way beyond the event. But I'm here to say that holding a person accountable doesn't involve taking away for them the ability to still continue to live. Because if you're gonna do that, here, that's why I'm still asking you this one question. Wait, if we're gonna do that, if we're gonna take away the artist's capability to live, you haven't answered me yet. When are we going to determine when the punishment is enough? It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take away food from me now, when is it okay?
Yeah.
Please address that. Please address it directly. If I raped somebody 5 years ago, is it okay now to forget about it? Is it okay now to say we can listen to my music? Is it okay? That's my thing. I am not here to condone any behavior. I'm just here to say how do we determine in the timeline?
You know that thing,
How do we, please address this answer,
There's
please.
no timeline.
How do we know when it's okay?
You may think that 5 years is a lot, well, but the 5 years ain't even nothing. How long did it take for the trial to complete before even you were sentenced? Probably a couple of years. So come on now. Even like, for example, it's like someone who committed a crime many years back, you can still be sentenced. Like right now, Blaze in Burkina Faso is sentenced for something he did 35 years ago. Life sentence in prison. You see, he did that crime 35 years back, in 87 or so. You see, when they killed Thomas Sankara.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So, now, that man is going to come back and flourish. There's nothing wrong with that. He has to come back and flourish. But he cannot expect now people to view him. Jaman, it's like when you use steroids, you can't expect Klepier to be the same as before if we were not using steroids. You get what I'm saying? Because now you are enhanced. So that's why I'm saying that you can be a pastor for 30 years and rape one time and be a rapist for the rest of your life. That's fair and possible. You get what I'm saying? Because why? People must know, you yourself must know that you are a rapist. You are not somebody who wants raped. No, you are a rapist.
So that defines.
No, it defines you.
It defines who I am completely.
If I steal, I'm a thief. If I steal, even if I stole once, I'm a thief. So, I can steal again.
Okay, so
given the opportunity and the chance.
Great example. If I steal and I go back, and from what I've stolen, I managed to get money to feed my family, I'm not a father.
What do you mean? That's why you are a father to your kids.
Exactly.
Why?
I'm a thief to you, but I'm a father to my kids.
That's what we are saying.
So I'm not just a thief. I'm many things.
You see, when you are an artist, remember what I said, that you can't separate that art, because the art is the content and then the artist is the container. We will never have love carried by hate. We will never have like a notion you don't steal, yet you are a thief. It's like you standing for policies you don't believe in.
I think I know how to conclude this, Krimba. I think the fundamental difference between you and I something that I think is going to be a great dialogue for our subscribers to take part in is you base your premise on the fact that artists have a social duty. I base my argument on the premise that artists have a personal duty. So our arguments are coming from two different places. My argument is coming from the right of self-expression no matter what. Your argument is saying self-expression needs to be based on social responsibility. And this is where now we seem to clash, because I get it. If really art is for social responsibility, then you can take away an artist's right to earn a living from their art. But if art is about self-expression, you can never do that, because whatever I do, the art is beyond me. So I think maybe this is a great way. Maybe this conversation won't have a conclusive ending, but it's brought us to 2 points. Maybe another question. This might be the next episode. Is art for social duty, as Krimba is saying, or is art about personal expression? I think that's the next episode. I think now we've really outlined the fact that these conversations come from two different places. A place where some people feel like artists have a social duty to be accountable and to be responsible, and when they do things that are out of that alignment, we can take away what the produce and what the final outcome of their kind of effort is. I'm here to say we can't do that. So maybe we can't decide right now.
No, you shouldn't do that. But artists shouldn't lead people into doing that. Simple. And people don't want to take away bread. That's why we give bread to artists.
I say artists should do anything they want. So
any last words? Any last words?
So,
Krimba.
Any last words?
Nah, man, my last words is that, be free as an artist. Don't be scared, don't be afraid. But I think you must understand that accountability is key.
Right.
I myself, I'm an artist. I used to maneuver freely up until I learned that there's spaces. And whether it's a painful thing, I know, it seems as if you are being limited, but it's a reality of the cause, because the people run these places, you see. The society at large is the place, is the people. Because when the society says that no more buying. You know what that means. So, as an artist, make sure that your expression is always bringing people into buying your stuff. I think that's what I'm trying to say more than anything.
Now you've completely outlined it.
Yeah.
Headspacers, talk to us. What is your view? Do you think art is for social duty? Do you think art is for personal expression? How do these things align? Do they contradict each other? Can these two conversations be in the same breath? Or are we truly standing from opposite perspectives? One thing I know is regardless of the perspectives, Krumba is my bro. And this was a conversation in the spirit of trying to figure out where art is going in the current space in time and how artists can relate to their audiences in terms of who they are becoming, whether that's bad or whether that's good. So talk to us on the comment section, argue, debate, challenge, agree, disagree. Headspace is about voicing your opinion. So yeah, maybe I think that's the next episode. Is art about social duty or is it about personal expression? I am VJ.
Krimba Krumba, Black Power.
Amandla Mnyama.
What it is.